I got 2 words for ya. Big Gabonga. Hello folks, I am the Ghost with Knife. Welcome back to more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and as you see today, we're playing Goblin Bikers. Now I know what you're thinking. Why? Simple. Big Gabonga. Really, that's what made me want to play the deck. The boss monster's name is so funny and entertaining that I was just like, I don't know what this deck is about, but I'm in. Okay. But seriously, Big Gabonga. Okay, but seriously, why am I playing this deck? It's an XYZ deck, and as many people know, I love XYZ decks, and not only is it a really cool XYZ deck with the best monster name for a boss monster ever, but we can also use the armored XYZ stuff, which as many people know, is some of my favorite cards to use. I've used them with Sharks, I've used them with Zodiac, I've used them in every possible way I could so far, and when you tell me there's a new rank 3 deck that can use it, of course I'm going to want to give it just a little bit of a peek-see. So what is Goblin Bikers? It's a bunch of these really wacky goblins of different types and attributes that are writing various things that like to rank 3 spam and then make you detach materials from your cards to special summon the effect monster Goblin Bikers, and when you detach off of Big Gabonga, he scoops up cards as material, kind of like Dark Knight Lancer does. So essentially I get another Dark Knight Lancer with an even better name and honestly, in my opinion, better artwork. For starters, we've got basically Tour Guide and Terror Top to just get us into 2 rank 3s so we can start our nonsense. From there, we use Big Gabonga to grab Doug Charger, which grabs us the Grand Entrance, and from there, we can go ahead and XYZ summon into the Dark Knight Lancer, so we have 2 scoops on our opponent's turn, and that is generally an end board, is to have a Dark Knight Lancer, an IP, and a Big Gabonga. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some games and showcase what is rapidly becoming one of my favorite decks. Alright, we're rolling up into our first game. Who is our first victim going to be, as we are going first with Goblin Bikers? I will admit that this might be another go first specialty deck. I know I do a lot of these, but this deck can do a few things going second. It's just a little bit harder. We're going to go ahead and summon Terror Top, and because we have Taka Tom Borg in hand, we're going to go ahead and use both of those to XYZ summon into Big Gabonga. That name is so much fun. We're going to go ahead and grab the Dark Charger from here, and from here I'm going to go ahead and XYZ summon into the Armor Fortress. This will make more sense in a second since I have Clatter Spoder. We're going to go and use the Armor Fortress to detach to grab a full armored XYZ. I'm going to use Doug Charter to detach our Armor Fortress to go ahead and special summon it. Grab the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance. We're going to use that to bring out it to grab a Clatter Spoder from deck. We're going to go and detach the Armor Fortress using Clatter Spoder to bring back Big Gabonga. From there, we're going to go ahead and use the Armor Fortress to rank up into a Dark Knight Lancer. Now, I know this looks a little bit weird, but Big Gabonga can give himself an extra material at the end of our turn so we can detach and do more of our nonsense. And from here, we're going to go ahead and link off the Clatter Sploder and the Doug Charger into Armor Torpedo. This is going to let us draw a card. Gives us a little bit more material to play with. We're going to go ahead and use the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance to detach off of Dark Knight Lancer, getting back to Doug Charger, normal summoning Doug Charger, using Armor Torpedo and Doug Charger to link into the IP Masquerena. So we got a little bit more card advantage, and we have IP Masquerena, so we can use that to play a Little Knight on their turn. We have a full armored XYZ we can go into with the XYZ Armor Fortress that we just recycled with Dark Knight Lancer, so after we scoop something up with Big Gabonga, after detaching to special summon our Clatter Sploder, we can scoop, we can XYZ summon, then we can use this to get another scoop, and we even have an SP Little Knight. We have a lot of ways to interact with our opponent. This is a deceptively powerful board. We're going to go ahead and put the Boom Mock, I think it is, yeah. Boom Mock underneath Gabonga. They're going to Foolish Burial. We're just going to go ahead and let them do that. They're going to go ahead and use Druis Worm to banish the Dragon Dark, to put a Thunder Dragon Fusion into their hand. I don't really care about any of this. They're going to go ahead and use Thunder Dragon to put 2 more Thunder Dragons into their hand. What is this goat format? They're going to go ahead and tribute summon a Thunder Dragon. I'm not sure why they did that. There might be a reason. I'm not too familiar with Thunder Dragon. It's fine. They're going to go ahead and use the Druid's Form to try to get rid of our card. We're going to go ahead and use Clatter Sploder's effect. And I think this might have been a misplay here. I think I tried to Clatter Sploder to take this off, and I think I fired off my XYZ Armored Trap a bit too early, because I could still use Clatter Sploder to detach from Big Gabonga and scoop up this Thunder Dragon. This might have been a misplay. I'm still learning the deck, so pardon me if I make a few mistakes. Well, we're going to go ahead and go into the Armored Fortress with the Armored XYZ Trap. We're going to detach from Armored Fortress back to Big Gabonga, and from there we're going to go ahead and bring back the Big Gabonga with Clatter Sploder. I was trying to fix my mistake. My opponent has another Bestial though, because of course they do. God, I hate Bestials. They're going to go ahead and banish my Big Gabonga because Big Gabonga is a dark stat. They're going to go into their Thunder Dragon Colossus. I'm going to use the Armored XYZ Trap to go ahead and equip the Dark Knight Lancer with the Armored Torpedo, which is going to scoop up their monster. No fusion for you. They're going to go ahead and try to use their fusion again here. They're going to use 3 Thunder Dragons to fuse into Thunder Dragon Titan, which is terrifying. I'm going to go ahead and use Ivy Masquerena to link off the Clatter Sploder and the Masquerena to go ahead and go to my Little Knight. From here, I'm going to go ahead and banish their Titan with the Little Knight. And then afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and banish both Baldrake and Little Knight. Oh, my bad. They used Baldrake to try to banish Little Knight. I used Little Knight to banish their Titan. I still got my banish off, and from here I can pretty easily finish off my opponent. We summon Mean Merciless, and we just attack for game. That's just the nonsense we're about here with the Big Gabonga deck. Oh, that name is too much fun. Alright, loading up into victim number 2. We are going second, which kinda sucks, but I've got Nibiru, and that's all you really need, right? My opponent is going to go ahead and use Red Eyes Wyvern and equip Black Metal Dragon to Red Eyes Wyvern. Okay. You do you. Not the most exciting opponent, but it's fine. We're going to use Terror Top. They're going to go ahead and Red Eyes Soul here to special summon a Red Eyes monster, which is going to be Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Good card, but just big stats is not enough for me. We're going to go ahead and use the Takatomborg and the Terror Top to go into Big Gabonga. We're going to get Big Gabonga to grab another Doug Charger. I don't need to. I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyways. We're going to go use Doug Charger to detach from Big Gabonga. I probably should have grabbed Boom Mock in hindsight, but hey, hindsight's 2020. We're going to use the Doug Charger to grab a card. So that detached off of Big Gabonga, I'm going to go ahead and scoop up the Darkness Metal Dragon. We're going to go and use the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance to grab the Boom Mock that I probably should have already grabbed. We're going to detach to special summon Boom Mock. We're going to use Doug Charger and the Boom Mock to go into our Armor Torpedo. Detach, draw a card, draw an Ash Blossom for follow-up, why not? Summon the Armor Fortress. Use Armor Fortress. We're going to grab the XYZ Armor Spell because I am going second here. From there, we're going to go ahead and XYZ summon into the Dark Knight Lancer. One of my favorite cards. We're going to go ahead and use the Armored XYZ on it to go ahead and give the Armor Torpedo, give it a little bit of a boost, go ahead and scoop up the Red Eyes Wyvern, and just open our opponent up for the game. We're going to use Boom Mock's effect to detach off the Big Gabonga, give them back their Darkness Metal Dragon, very politely. We're going to go ahead and Ash Blossom their card, because I just want to shut my opponent out of this game entirely, because I'm evil like that. I'm going to go ahead and summon the Clatter Sploder to bring back the Doug Charger, and from here I'm going to use all 3 of these monsters to XYZ summon into the Ashura King, one of our finisher cards. We don't really need it in this situation, but hey, we can summon it. It is a pretty rad monster. We're going to attack with it 1, 2, and 3 times because it has 3 materials, and then Big Gabonga gets in for game. Not the most exciting opponent, but man, is this deck fun. Alright, we're going second again here. We have a few starters if my opponent wants to try to stop us. Now I know what you're thinking. Is this replay how you out 3 Blue Eyes because you can't really do it? I mean, well, you could technically. It could have been. I heavily considered it. I will say, this game is in Platinum, meaning this Blue Eyes player has made it to Platinum. Platinum 4, which is pretty impressive for Blue Eyes. With Rage with Eyes of Blue. This isn't that game, though, where I beat 3 Blue Eyes. This is when I Ash Blossom Rage with Eyes of Blue and show my opponent that maybe you need to upgrade your deck. My opponent sets 1 back row, sets 1 face down, and passes. I'm going to go ahead and use E-Telly, try to bait an Ash or something. I'm going to go ahead and get the Psychic Wielder. We're going to use the Tour Guide to grab the Mean Merciless, which is our only Fiend Goblin Biker, but we do have one, thankfully. Big Gabonga. Go ahead and grab the Doug Charger here. And I am going to go ahead and make a mistake. I'm going to activate Doug Charger, and then I'm going to activate Big Gabonga, thinking I can get face-down monsters. But hey, reading the cards explains the cards. You can only target face-up monsters for material. It's fine in this situation. A bit embarrassing, but again, still fine. I can get there in the end if I need to. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, grab the Clatter's Floater, detach that Tour Guide, bring back Clatter's Floater, which is going to bring back our Mean Merciless, which can't normal summon anything with its effect, but it's fine. We just need it for material. I'm going to go ahead and go into the Armor Torpedo. Armor Torpedo, you've seen this before. We draw a card, it's an Ash Blossom. What are the odds of drawing that again? I'm going to use the Grand Entrance to detach off of Big Gabonga to bring back the Doug Charger for follow-up in case something goes wrong here. Armor Fortress, grab the Trap, Dark Knight Lancer, sped it up just a little bit just for the sake of time. Armored XYZ, put back the Armor Torpedo. We're going to go ahead and use that to scoop up their monster, and from here we attack. We use Armor Torpedo attack thanks to the spell, and then I'm going to go and use Armor Torpedo second effect to give Dark Knight Lancer a second attack, and that is how we absolutely schooled this Blue Eyes player in Platinum. Alright, I know what you're thinking. We've seen enough meme games. You've stomped some people that probably shouldn't have been in Platinum with this deck. Show me the real Goblin Biker content. Well, let's go ahead and get into this game. We're going first and see what our actual meta opponent is. We're going to go ahead and use Mean Merciless to normal summon the Boom Mock. This is kind of a way of showing you other starters, because even though we do pretty much need Terror Top or Tour Guide to start with this deck, we can use Mean Merciless, which is why I run 2. I don't really know why you wouldn't run 2, since it is technically another starter with another Goblin Biker in hand. It's a 2-card combo, but hey, it's better than a no-card combo. We're going to go ahead and use the Boom Mock and the Mean Merciless to go into Big Gabonga. Man, that name is incredible. We're going to go ahead and use Big Gabonga to grab Doug Charger. We're going to kind of freestyle a combo here, don't mind me. I'm going to go and use the Doug Charger to special summon it, grab the Grand Entrance. From here, we're going to use Grand Entrance, grab Clatter's Floater, special summon Clatter's Floater, use Clatter's Floater to bring back the Mean Merciless. We're leaving the Boom Mock in Grave because Boom Mock can detach off of anything to bring itself back. We're going to go ahead and go into the Armor Torpedo here. I will say that I mildly messed this up, I think, with this Mean Merciless in defense, but it's fine. We're going to go ahead and use the Armor Torpedo to draw a card. We draw the Takatomborg, because of course we do. Interestingly enough, Takatomborg just needs a wind monster, and Boom Mock is a wind monster, which is why we run 3 with our Speed Ward stuff. Fun fact, if you normal summon this, you could special summon your Takatomborg if you need to. From this position, I could have used Boom Mock, but from here, because I'm kind of nervous about how my hand played out, I didn't personally see any lines where I could end on Dark Knight Lancer, but I forgot I have full armored XYZ, and what I should have done is I should have gone into the Dark Knight Lancer and then used Boom Mock to special summon itself, detaching off of that, putting the Armor Fortress into the graveyard, use Dark Knight Lancer to recycle the Armor Fortress, So then I could Armored XYZ on top of Big Gabonga after using its effect and getting just another scoop and just a little bit more counterplay. Also, I could have gotten another material with the Boom Mock, which I could have gone into IP. Again, I was learning the deck at the time. Hindsight is 2020. This is not a terrible end board. We're going to go ahead and put a Boom Mock underneath our Big Gabonga and hope this is enough. We have an Infinite Imperm, a full Armored XYZ we can use to go into a Dark Knight Lancer for 2 scoops with Big Gabonga and Armor Fortress, and a Called By, which is pretty powerful. Our opponent is going to go ahead and use the Bestial Rebellion. I'm going to Call By the hell out of that card. And from here, because I'm kind of nervous, I'm going to go ahead and use the full Armored XYZ to go into my Dark Knight Lancer, which is what I've done with other decks. But with this deck, with how it recycles cards and detaches, I should have been more proactive by putting Dark Knight Lancer onto the board. It is fine in this position. We got what we needed to. We got the trap into the grave. Our opponent's going to activate Stand Up. They're going to add Trudea to their back row. I'm going to go ahead and use the Boom Mock to detach off of Big Gabonga. They're going to Call By, and in response, I'm going to Clattersploder. Because Clattersploder on your opponent's turn can detach materials from your monsters to special summon itself, and then special summon again, which after you detach, gives you a Big Gabonga scoop. So Clattersploder is going to activate, detaching off a Big Gabonga, special summon itself. They're going to go ahead and use Called By on the Boom Mock, so I can't use the other one in grave. It is fine. Our opponent's going to Trudea. I'm going to use Clattersploder to bring back the Dug Charger for a little bit of card advantage, just for follow-up. And then we're going to Big Gabonga spook their Trudea, bring back the Dug Charger, go ahead and grab our Grand Entrance again, so for more follow-up. On my opponent has had enough. No Bestials, no Centurion. Get out of here with your nonsense. Get biked on. Alright, so we beat Center Ion pretty viciously, but what other decks can you beat with Goblin Biker? We're going first, we're going to activate Terror Top, they're going to Ash Blossom us. We do not care with our current hand, we have 3 starters. Well, kind of. E-Telly does get us into another card, so we can use Tour Guide for more materials in a second. We have 2 3s, you know what that means. Say it with me, 2 words. Big Gabonga. Big Gabonga goes into Dug Charger. That never gets old, I'm sorry. Dug Charger detaches. You've seen the kind of nonsense we're going for here. Because we have the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, instead I'm going to grab the Pile Up, which gives us a little bit more interaction on our opponent's turn. We're going to go ahead and use the Grand Entrance to detach off the Big Gabonga. We're going to grab Boom Mock here because I believe... Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why I grabbed Boom Mock. I think because I wanted it in rotation. Clattersploder in rotation would have done the exact same job, especially because we're gonna detach off this Armored Torpedo. We draw into, I don't know what I drew into, I think Lightning Storm. There's Lightning Storm or Called By. We're gonna go ahead and use the Armor Fortress, grab the trap, go ahead and set up our nonsense, and I did in fact learn from my past. We're gonna go ahead and go into the Dark Knight Lancer. We're going to use Boom Mock to detach off of Lancer, get us another material, which allows us to recycle the Armor Fortress so we can use our trap successfully. We're going to go ahead and use the Tour Guide to grab the Meat Merciless. We're going to use both of our Goblins to link into IP Masquerena. So now, my board is a Called By Negate, a full Armored XYZ that I can put into the grave to make an Armor Fortress on top of Big Gabonga after he scoops a card. Or I can use Goblin Biker Grand Pile Up on top of Big Gabonga to go into our big, crazy beast that we don't ever really get to showcase. But hey, maybe we can. Just have to see where the cards land. Pretty powerful stuff here. We're going to go ahead and put a Clattersploder on top of Big Gabonga because I'm going to detach anyways to bring back the Boom Mock. Our opponent is going to summon the King Sarcophagus. Oh boy, it's Horus, the deck that likes to discard and mill a bunch of cards and summon back a bunch of big monsters. I love this deck. It's so much fun to play against. It's funny because people have been like saying and voting for me to play this deck, and I keep saying I'm going to, but I'm at a point where I really don't want to because I just see the deck that much. And also it's a really expensive deck, and I keep finding other really silly decks to play, but I promise when this deck gets a pack, I will play Horus, but for now it's just a bit out of my reach. My opponent is going to put a card back. They're going to use the Imseti, and you know what? No, I'm going to call it by that. You don't get to play your Horus cards today. And our opponent, seeing called by, and the amount of interaction they've got to play through, scoops it up. Get out of here, Horus. Alright, folks, this is going to be our last game. We are going second. Hopefully it's not going to be that bad, right? Pot of Desires. Okay, this is fine. Can't really do anything about that. And 2. I thought I told you to beat it. Okay. Whatever. We're playing Horus again. They're going to discard their cards. I don't see... There's Imseti. They're going to go ahead and use the... I'm sorry, what is that card? The Cuckoo Commanded to Croon. I don't care if you're a Horus player, that's awesome. Anyways, they're going to go ahead and summon the... I'm not even going to say that. Duamatef and Hoppy Guidance of Horus, and they're going to end? Well, why not? Why not Imseti? What? Why not Imseti? Is there a reason they can't? No rank 8 plays? Oh, okay. Normally, I think I'm dead in this position. I'm gonna go ahead and use Imperm on this card I can't pronounce, because it looks like I can do some nonsense. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Tour Guide. My opponent is going to Infinite Impermanence my Tour Guide. They think they've got me, but hey, I've got Psychic Wielder. Psychic Wielder is going to allow me to Big Gabonga. We're going to use Big Bonga, grab Doug Charger. We have the trap in hand for follow-up in case we need it. We're going to use Doug Charger to detach, grab a monster from deck, and then we're going to use Big Gabonga to scoop up their Happy. Because you can't use your cards in Graveyard or they're underneath my XYZ monsters. We're going to go ahead and grab the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, which grabs us a Boom Mock. From here, we're going to actually do something kind of interesting, because Grand Entrance, you do not have to special summon the card that you grab from deck with it. It can be any Goblin Biker monster in your hand, including Mean Merciless, and when it's special summoned, we can special summon another Goblin, which allows us to grab Ladder's Floater, which puts it in rotation mostly. It doesn't do anything, but hey, nice little thing we can do with that. We're going to go ahead and go into the Armor Torpedo, detach, draw 2 with the Doug Charger. Of course, why would it be? Draw 1, my bad. Into the Armor Fortress. We are going second, so we can go ahead and grab the XYZ Armor Spell, which allows us to finish off our opponent. We're going to use Mean Merciless, detach off of Gabonga, bring back the Merciless just for a little bit more materials. Dark Knight, Armored Lancer, detach off of Armored Lancer to bring out the Boom Mock. We're going to go ahead and use the Dark Knight Lancer to recycle the Armor Fortress. Armored XYZ is going to bring back the Armor Torpedo, allowing us to scoop up their other monster that's not negated. And from this position, we summon the Ashuda King. And this game should be just about over. Dark Knight Lancer gets in there. We use the Armor Torpedo's effect off of the Armored XYZ spell. Another attack with Lancer, an attack with Big Gabonga, and the Ashura King gets in for game. That's right, I schooled Horus twice with this deck. Let's get to the wrap-up. And there they are, folks. Unmasked and letting it all out. The Goblin Bikers celebrating their victories with their ill-gotten gains in one grand bash. And as our Goblin Biker friends party, that is going to bring our time with Goblin Bikers to a close for now. I'm not going to lie to you, this deck is 100% coming back. I had some of the most fun that I've had in Yu-Gi-Oh! In a long time with this deck. I liked Shining Sarcophagus, but I absolutely loved playing Goblin Bikers. They are very similar to Sharks, which is one of my other all-time favorite decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll just say it, I highly recommend this deck. If you like XYZ decks that are modern and pretty competitive, if you ask me, try Goblin Bikers. This deck rules. It's just that simple. They have really awesome card art that's fun and flavorful. They got a really unique set of abilities, and their boss monster is awesome. Best name ever, and also some of the funniest effects. He's an extender, and he's removal. He is everything you want in a boss monster. And that's all I really got to say about the deck. It will be back. I loved it, and I recommend it. So, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to stop gushing over Goblin Bikers and just say one more time, this deck is 100% coming back. I'm going to try to climb with this deck and a few other decks and see just how far I can get. So, thank you for tuning in, folks. That's all we've got for this one. I've been the Ghost with Knife. Now do me a favor, folks, and get the hell out of here. Where the hell do you think you're going? I'm not done Gabongaing just yet. That's right, we got a bonus game up in this one. As you can see, I got a pretty standard Big Gabonga board. We got IP, Dark Knight Lancer, and Big Gabonga. We've got a Doug Charger Engrave, a Mean Merciless somewhere in this pile of cards. So there she was. I used her to start my combo. And I also have a Boom Mock and Engrave, just so you can get caught up to speed. And this is the current hand with an Ash Blossom, a Full Armored XYZ, and some other nonsense. So basically right now I have a Gabonga scoop, a Dark Knight Lancer scoop, if I can use the Full Armored XYZ, an Ash Blossom, and an IP to shut down my opponent's nonsense. What are they up to in this bonus game? Let's go ahead and find out. My opponent is on Sword Soul, going Sword Soul of Moye. And if you know anything about this deck, they need their Sword Souls and their tokens to go ahead and synchro into their big monsters. So we're going to go ahead and use Vishuda for Moye. I'm going to go ahead and use the Boom Mock to detach off of a Gabonga. So beat Gabonga and go ahead and eat up this little Moye over here. Get your little tush right over here. Our opponent tries to do Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. I guess they're doing this to Boom Mock because they can. I'm not quite sure why they did, but whatever. I'll go ahead and take some damage for it. Who cares? They're going to negate our card. We're going to take some damage. Our opponent is going to Iris Sword Soul here. I'm going to go ahead and use the Full Armored XYZ because I do not want them having any material whatsoever. I don't know what sort of level 12 synchro they can make, but we're going to go ahead and go to the Armor Fortress to get the Full Armored XYZ into the graveyard. So that way, when our Sword Soul comes down, I can go ahead and scoop her on up with the Dark Knight Lancer. Get on over here, please. Thank you very much. My opponent is going to try a last-minute Vishuda, and I'm asking myself, now why would they bounce this? It's because they want Moye in the grave. So in one of the most insane plays of my life, I set off a chain of events that will change the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! At least for the next few seconds. I'm going to use Clattersploder to detach from Armor Fortress, and I'm going to respond with IP Masquerena. The idea is that I'm going to use a Boom Mock and Masquerena to create a chain, as well as using the Clattersploder to start the next chain with SP Little Knight. So we're going to go ahead and IP here into Little Knight. Clattersploder is going to detach Armor Fortress. I'm going to use Clattersploder to bring back a card, and then I'm going to chain this with Little Knight so they can't stop my Little Knight from banishing their Moye, stopping their plays, and completely shutting down Sword Soul. Now, get the hell out of here. We're biking again soon.